Can you imagine the humiliation, guys? Going back to your country after having worked for 8 months to almost a year here in the UK, after promising your family that you're going to come and collect them and they're going to come to UK because finally we have realized our dream of relocating to UK. You sold your house, you sold your property, you even used your father's pension to come to UK because you were promised milk and honey here in UK. But the reality on the ground was totally different. Now you had to go back to your country, not dangling groceries side by side, not carrying anything, not dangling anything at all, but can you imagine the humiliation? That is the day you lose your title as honey. That's the day you lose your title as sweetheart. Because guys, it's only the prodigal son who was welcomed with open arms when he came back poor and everything. Here in this life, come back dangling nothing but your title changes. So if you don't want to find yourself in such a situation, guys, if you don't want to face such humiliation, guys, do watch this video to the very end.
No comparison. I'm a savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet, yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty, yeah. Acting stupid, what was happening? What was happening? I'm a savage.
So guys, I had already done this video and I was blaming the health and care worker visa. I actually said the health and care worker visa is actually effed up. But let us be honest, guys. Sometimes we have to be grateful. I mean, not sometimes, all the time we have to be grateful because the health and care worker visa opened doors to a lot of people who would have thought that you can relocate to UK having only a certificate, even without qualifications, to come and work and get paid over £20,000 per annum. So I'll call this individual who came through the health and care worker visa Tony. It is not the health and care worker visa which is a problem. It is the employers who are a problem, and it is also us who are a problem. So there is a valuable lesson from Tony's story that I want to share with you so that you are very mindful in case you are here in UK or you are relocating here to UK and you don't want to find yourself sacked just like Tony. So the story goes like this. So Tony relocated to UK under the health and care worker visa to come and work as a domiciliary carer. When Tony started working as a domiciliary carer, he was promised that he'll get adequate hours. He was also promised that he's going to be getting 20-something thousand pounds per annum in divided doses, meaning he was expecting, I don't know what is 20,000 divided by 12. Anyway, I would say he was expecting around 1,500 to 1,800 per month. I don't know how to calculate maths. You do the calculations yourself. But Tony soon realized that the reality on the ground is different from what he was promised. This is the nature of the domiciliary care worker job, guys. People are complaining that they leave their homes as early as 4 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m., and they're only back at midnight or at 11 p.m. or whatever, and they're expected back to work in the morning, which means they've got between 12 and 4 a.m. to sleep in their homes and go to work. Not only that, they're expected to fuel cars to go and visit clients, to go to client by client by client. So Tony soon realized that as you are doing domiciliary care work, at times you might have a client at 9 o'clock and the next client is at 12 o'clock and you're only going for 30 minutes. And then maybe the next shift is at 1,400 hours, the next one is at 1,800 hours. Meaning there is so much time in between clients, guys. So Tony could not afford to be going back and forth to his home. For example, I can say, let me go home and rest for 1 hour and go to the next client at 3 o'clock. Because with some companies, when you're doing domiciliary care work, you are only paid when you are now at the job for 30 minutes. So you might be out for 16 hours and only be paid for 4 hours of those 16 hours. So Tony was only making £65 per day. At times he would make as little as £15 per day. And to make matters worse, Tony had come during winter and he couldn't even afford to switch on the heating in his car because one, it will drain the battery. Two, it also drains the petrol, because I've realized that at times I switch on the car. For example, I'm recording in the car. When it gets too hot, I'll switch on the car and use the aircon. That uses a lot of fuel because I see the bus on the fuel dropping, and he couldn't afford that. He couldn't afford to fuel the car. Can you imagine the dead of winter here in UK, guys? He will sit in the car freezing. He can't even afford a cup of coffee to warm himself up because a cup of coffee costs £3. And guys, he would leave home from as early as 5 o'clock in the morning and be back at 11 p.m, which means you are spending more than 14 hours on the job, at times more than 16 hours on the job. But he was making as little as £15 per day or as little as £65 a day. This is the nature of the domiciliary care work here in UK if you don't choose wisely. And at the end of the month, he could only take home around £970, less than £1,000, guys. And with less than £1,000, guys, you cannot survive in UK. So before Tony came to UK, he had borrowed money, he had left his job, he had sold his property. Who knows, maybe he also took the pension money from his parents so that he comes to UK because he thought he was going to quickly generate that money, invite his family over and pay off the debts. So because the working conditions were not good, Tony decided to complain to the employer. According to the article that I read, they actually said the company had now decided that either they're going to purchase the cars for these individuals and they're supposed to pay tax and insurance for their own cars, which is expensive, guys. You can pay up to £400 or £500 in car insurance, tax and monthly installments for the car. It's a lot of money. You can even pay up to £600. So imagine if you have to pay £600 and they're only being paid £900 per month. So Tony, this is what I want you to take note of, guys. One thing which led him to be sacked, guys, I want you to be mindful of this because I also found myself in such a similar situation. Tony, together with his colleagues, complained. It's not the first time where people are coming to UK and there are no hours. When I was working in a care home that I was working in, when I first came here to UK, there was a point in time where they recruited many nurses to the point where there were no shifts. So some of the nurses were made to work on the floor as carers, and now it had come to a point where there were no shifts and they wanted us to go to other care homes to go and work so that we get our 39-hour contract or 42-hour contract, whatever you contracted. So me and my colleagues, just like what Tony did with these colleagues, we came together and said, guys, we're supposed to be having a meeting, and said, guys, we are going for this meeting. What are we going to say in this meeting? There is no way we are going to accept that we are going to go to this care home and to this care home. And guys, we all sat down, we agreed that this is what we're going to say, this is what we're going to say, this is what we're going to say. They cannot treat us like that. There is no way. This is not what I signed up for. My contract says I'm supposed to be here. I cannot be going to other care homes. We all agreed, all of us. So we went for the meeting. And me, because I'm a loud mouth and I like talking too much, I was one of the first to talk, to say, no way, we don't want this, we don't want that. And then Cleo followed and talked. And guys, do you know what the rest of the guys did? They kept quiet. Nothing, absolutely nothing came out of their mouths. I was sitting there in shock, guys, looking at my colleagues to say, come on now, guys, talk. They kept quiet, and me and Cleo were told that we were insubordinating the manager. The same reason why Tony was sacked. Insubordination, because he didn't want to sign that contract. So what I learned is, when you are here in UK, guys, never ever fight other people's battles, ever. If there is a problem, do not be the spokesperson for everyone. If there is a problem, do not go and sit with your colleagues and agree and say, this is what we're going to say. Because at the end of the day, me and Cleo were the ones who were bad. And these other ones, they sat there, they looked at us and pretended as if they didn't even know what was being talked about. So lesson learned, guys, never fight other people's battles, because at the end of the day, you are the one who's going to end up being sacked. You are the one who's going to appear as if, oh, this is insubordination, it's because of Pauline, or you're not abiding by the company rules, it's because of Pauline. Never, ever, ever fight other people's battles. Only fight for yourself. Only speak for yourself. No one else. Trust at your own peril. It's not everyone who smiles at you who likes you. They smile with you and throw a live snake on your ass and you get sacked. So that's one important thing that you need to know. Another thing, what happens here in UK is, in case you are sacked by your employer, if you are on a health and care worker visa, you are given at least 60 days to look for a second employer. And if you're not able to get an employer within those 60 days, you have to leave the country. So Tony was supposed to look for a second employer so that he continues on the health and care worker visa, but he could not find an employer. I need you to be mindful of another lesson here, guys. There are a lot of people who come here to UK who buy the certificate of sponsorship, fully knowing that there are no hours here in UK because they are hoping they are going to change employers. Tony was not able to change employers and he has gone back to his country. Right? Why was he not able to change employers? Because for starters, the company that he worked for, they didn't want to reference him. After sacking him, they didn't want to reference him. And here in UK, without references, you cannot be employed. They want references from your employer. Another thing, when you are here in UK, most of the time they say they want someone with 3 months UK experience or 6 months UK experience. So if you come and you don't have hours, you're not working, you don't have UK experience, you don't have 3 months, you don't have 6 months, making it very difficult for you to be employed, because you'll be competing with people with 6 months, 1 year UK experience. So would you take someone with 0 experience, or you take someone with 6 months experience here in the UK? So that's another thing that I needed you to be mindful of, that coming to UK with 0 hours doesn't guarantee that you're going to get an employer. Tony is not the only person that I know of who has left UK because they couldn't find an employer within 60 days. A lot of people have left UK because of that. And a lot of people, you can check the messages even on most of my YouTube videos, they are constantly asking, I'm looking to switch, I can't find an employer. You recommend any hiring companies. Companies are not hiring people without experience. And companies, some of them have clearly stated that they don't want people who want to switch employers because they know of these scandals going on, guys. So guys, that's point number 2. Point number 3, what you have to know is that the health and care worker visa is not as bad as we are portraying it. It's just that most of the time we just come and talk of the unfortunate situations which would have befell other people and things like that. But there are people who are striving. But there are people who came here to UK who are striving on a health and care worker visa. For example, someone came to me and asked me about this domiciliary carer payslip, this one, where a domiciliary carer says she takes around £3,200 every month. And I'm going to do a separate video about that payslip in particular, because I've had a lot of DMs, people asking me, is this true? Is this how much they're getting? So what I want you to take note of is, if you are choosing an employer, do your research before you sign any contract. Ask people who are working for that organization. Ask in groups, like I've got a Telegram group with over 12,000 people. Ask in that Telegram group, is there anyone working for this company? What are the pay rates like? Are you paying for your own fuel? Are they paying for mileage and all that? Because employers differ. In my company, everyone who came through the health and care worker visa is very happy. All the care assistants who came through the health and care worker visa, not even a single day have I had them complain, because they chose a good employer. They do their contracted hours and they do extra shifts. I work with care assistants who work 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week, And when they are working in my company, because they are working for my company, they cannot be considered a second employer. So they are chopping money. They are chopping money in this organization that I work for. So that is another thing that I wanted to tell you guys, that before you sign that contract, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, because you don't want a situation whereby you find yourself packing your bags and going back home. The employer that I work for is brilliant, guys. I don't foresee anyone packing their bags and going back home. So just choose wisely. Of course, you want jobs here in UK. It's a good thing to get a job here in UK, but just don't pick any job because it is here in UK, because it's pointless for you to come to UK to suffer and to accumulate bills and have debts here and there, fail to pay those debts because you've been chucked out of the country. My employer, not even a single person paid anything for their health and care worker visa. They paid for everything, including the flight tickets, also including accommodation, because there are people who are still staying in the company's accommodation and they're paying as little as £200 per month for rent and saving the rest of their money, guys. So choose wisely. Just don't pick any job. Look at, especially if you're doing domiciliary care, because a lot of people are doing domiciliary care jobs are crying. You have to know that there are 3 types of visa routes that you can take as a care assistant, or even 4. You can be a senior care assistant even at a hospital. You can work in a care home, of which I recommend that you choose care homes because that's where you are guaranteed hours. You can work as a support worker, whereby you go to an individual's home and you take care of their every needs while they're at their home, but you don't stay over, like you're not a live-in carer. So be very careful of the role that you choose to undertake here in UK. That way you will not find yourself in a situation whereby you are picking your bags and you are forced to go back home because you could not get another employer because your employer was horrible. Do you get it, guys? One last thing, guys. Let's say you are here in UK, you are working, you're not happy in your environment, and you're planning to leave your employer, which is okay, which is understandable. First of all, I would ask you to practice patience. Why am I saying practice patience? Practice patience, maybe just endure for just 3 months, or just endure for just 6 months. And in the meantime, while you're persevering, be making plans on how you're going to exit. Be making plans on how you're going to leave your employer. The most important thing that I will emphasize, this is one last important thing that I want to emphasize. Never ever let people know your plans. Let me repeat that. Never ever let people know your plans, because once people know your plans, they are the very people who destroy you. They are the very people who go to your employer and tell your employer that, oh, she's planning to leave, blah blah blah, and then your employer looks for other ways to save you, or they start making things difficult for you at work. I'm sure you have seen it, even when you're a nurse, you're at work and you now want to leave the organization, and maybe you have put in your resignation and you're left with just 1 month or whatever. They start planting this and that just to get you in trouble, or just to have a reason to taint your name, guys. So move silently, because again, it's not everyone that you tell your plans who is happy about your plans. Even if you are there in Zimbabwe, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, or whatever, and you want to come to UK as a care assistant or whatever, shh, zip it, zip it, and do your thing silently, because people raise the maples. I don't know how best I can put it in English, but people raise the maples, as in sometimes when you are planning your things, people can put blockages. It's very much possible for people to put blockages, because there are people who've got powers of the darkness, guys. Yes, they are there. It might not sound believable, but they are there. You see things just falling apart, things not working out, because you are yap telling people your plans, and while you are sleeping at night, they are up all night looking for ways to destroy you. So zip, shh, and come to UK silently. And if you're here in UK looking for an employer, planning your next move, blah blah blah, shh, don't tell your colleagues, don't tell your what, just move silently. They just hear you saying, thank you very much for the time that I spent in this organization, I'm moving to the next company. Not that I'm saying if you've got any grievances, keep quiet and so forth and so on, but just weigh the kind of grievances that you have. For example, if it's hours, you're complaining about hours. If the hours are not there, they're not there. No matter how much you complain, it's not going to change the fact that there are no hours. So why not be patient and work the whatever hours that you have for that month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. You look for another employer. You now have UK experience. Understand, guys? Problem with me is that I talk too much, but this is all that I wanted to share with you guys. I will do another video where I'm going to talk about this payslip, which has got people talking and talking and talking. I've received so many DMs with regards to this payslip, guys. Is it real? Is it fake? Can a domiciliary carer really earn £3,200? You will find out in my next video. All the videos that I promised that I'm going to bring for you guys, I'll still do those videos. Sometimes I get a little bit too busy, but if you like the content that I've shared with you so far, do smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell so that you never miss any of my videos, and do share this video with your friends and your colleagues, and whosoever wants to come to UK using the health and care worker visa, or whosoever is here in UK, because some of these things they apply to us while we're here in UK. It doesn't matter whether you're a nurse, whether you're a driver, whether you're a doctor, whether you're what. Some of these things they apply to us, especially when it comes to work, and especially when it comes to backbiting and all those things, guys. Do let me know what you think of what I've shared with you in the comment section, and thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in my next video. Bye. Ooh, the heat has killed me.